Hello friends, welcome. So this is gonna be just a casual video. This is no teaching or something. So for the last few weeks, I have been uploading a lot of educational content, especially in light of the CBSE examinations, which will be held in December. So I know that my lack of a good camera, good equipment, good microphone, and all this, and so the videos are not of a high standard, definitely. But if you just want to check them out, like they may be helpful. That's why I'm making them, and I'm learning on the way myself. I'm not a teacher, I'm a student, so I'm learning on the way myself. So that's why I make these videos, these educational videos, and it gives me pleasure. It gives me satisfaction, if not anything else. So basically, I would like to first of all say thank you to everyone, because I just crossed 400 subscribers today, and I know this is a very small achievement because 400 subscribers in over 2 years. But this is a great lesson actually. I thought of quitting YouTube many times. Like many times in my life, I thought of quitting YouTube because I saw channels gaining 1k subscribers, 2k subscribers in a few months, and I have strived with so many videos. I have over 260 videos, and at one point of time, the number of my videos were more than the number of subscribers. Such was the condition of my channel. I had around 163 subscribers or something like that, as far as I can remember at that point of time, and I had over 200 videos. So the number of subscribers is less than the number of videos. That was the condition of my channel. But it has improved somewhat, because today I have 402 subscribers right at this moment, and I have around 260 videos. So the thing is that I just want to share, I just want to talk casually with you guys. I'm not doing this video for any particular purpose, for any particular topic. So I just want to talk casually with you guys. So, and if you want to watch, you can watch it. I don't know how many of you will be watching, but yeah, that's it. So basically, I thought of quitting YouTube mainly because I was a perfectionist. I was a perfectionist, not now. I was a perfectionist. I used to be a perfectionist. So I thought I'm striving hard. So at least I should have at least 1k subscribers, at least 500 subscribers. So after today I have 400 subscribers. But that's after 2.5 years, almost 2.5 years. That's not instantaneously. But then I thought that there are a lot of people in worse condition than me. I am comparatively hugely better off. So why should I waste my time, waste my life thinking about these things? I'm not doing YouTube for money, so I'm not doing YouTube for fame or something like that. If I get 1k subscribers, if I get 4,000 public watch hours, then very good. Then YouTube will maybe help me financially, but that's not my main aim. I'm just doing YouTube for my passion. So, and even if one people seriously watches me, I know that at least 5 to 6 people, not 5 to 6 people, more than that. I have 400 subscribers, but out of them at least 10, 20 people watches me seriously, very serious. I know this. And a huge hats off, huge salute, thank you to them. I make these videos only for you. Even if one people watches me seriously, that is enough reason for me to keep me going. That is enough reason for me. I will make videos for you, even if one people watches me seriously. I don't want a huge audience. Obviously, I want a huge audience, but if I don't get a huge audience, I will not stop making the videos. I will always be making these videos for you guys. So just wanted to say a thank you. I know it's 400 subscribers, nothing like a big achievement or something, but it's a big achievement to me nevertheless. And I crossed 55k views. It's now my views is around 55k 500 something. So that's all right, because I have seen many YouTube channels with more subscribers than 400 but lesser views than 55,000. So the views are quite all right. But the thing is that in my channel, the problem is that there is a lot of the views are not uniformly distributed. A few of my videos, those airplane videos, some airplane models like Air India, Boeing 777 and those models, and that Indian Railway locomotive, that video I dropped about the WAG9. So those videos have amassed a lot of views, but overall the educational videos, they are not getting as much views. Some videos are getting views definitely, but it's not a uniform distribution. So that is the main thing. But yeah, I'm happy with what I've got. And so once again, thank you guys for 400 subscribers and 55,000 views. Next target is 500 subscribers. Let's not dream too big. And 1 lakh watch hours. Not 1 lakh watch hours, 1 lakh views. My watch hours is currently, I guess, around 600 or something, 500 something, nearly 600. But we need 4,000 watch hours. But again, that's not my main aim. It's not that. I'm not doing YouTube for that. If that comes along in the way, I will accept it happily, but that's not my main aim. So that's it. And one more thing is that which I would like to discuss with you. So this is a casual video. I'm not going into any particular topic in this video, any technical topic in this video. or any, like, not any particular topic. So I just want to like say something to you guys. Like this is just a realization of me, like just a personal realization, a personal reflection on life. So you may agree or you may not agree, that's up to you. So basically I've seen a lot of people, and even I myself fall in that group. Like they sort of, we have a, like, it's actually, I just read a book, I actually made a YouTube short about it, a book, Incognito by David Eagleman. Here it is, Incognito by David Eagleman. So this is a very great book, and it actually completely like gave me some very new insights into the field of evolution. So I have always been interested in evolution, in natural selection and evolution, and I have always like found some time to read about it, even though I do not want to pursue biology, evolutionary biology, but I want to work in the interface of biology and physics, and biology in the sense evolutionary biology. I want to work in the interface of like evolution theory, physics, fundamental physics, consciousness, and these things. So it's better to have some knowledge of everything. It's I will never say, even if you're a physics enthusiast, I will never say I will completely ignore evolution, because after all, evolution and natural selection, perhaps one of the most successful theories we ever have. It's one of the most revolutionary theories. Like Charles Darwin, his insights has really been great. So basically, one thing which is very clear from reading this book, and it was clear from reading a previous book by the same author, David Eagleman, that is The Brain, is that we mostly run unconsciously. We operate unconsciously. Like in our day-to-day lives, our consciousness is only required when something out of the ordinary happens. When something, even suppose when you are solving some questions for the examinations and these things, like you just do it unconsciously. Everything, you are driving a car, you are walking, you are just eating your food. There is no consciousness, is not at all required even for these activities. But then why do we have consciousness? Because if something out of the ordinary happens, then consciousness must kick in to action. In that case, consciousness is required. So like for example, suppose when I am returning home from school, I have done that hundreds of times, so I know the way. I am just doing it unconsciously. But suppose if I meet with a snake on the road, then that is something out of the ordinary. In that case, my consciousness kicks in. My amygdala and these brain regions, they get active, and I have to, it's a fight or flight situation. Like I have seen a snake, so I have to escape it, or I have to somehow avoid it. So then consciousness gets involved. Now the thing is that this author, David Eagleman, is a very great, he's one of my favorite authors, he's a neuroscientist. So he raises the question that 2 points I would like to discuss. He raises many questions in this book. One point is about criminology. I will not discuss it here, but one point which he discusses in this book is criminology. So how our criminal justice system is currently outdated, and how it can be, like based on neuroscience, how it can be advanced for a more better future, for a better society. But anyway, I'm not much interested in these societal aspects. So I'm interested in the evolutionary parts, like the origins of consciousness and these things. So basically one thing is that we come with some pre-programmed instincts in us. A human baby is not born, like he or she is not born completely empty. He or she does not learn everything from the beginning. He or she is born with some pre-programmed hardwired instincts in them. And this helps, because if you're tripping in a world which is so full of so many possibilities, and you have to learn everything from the scratch, it's not possible. You will not be able to figure out everything by yourself. That will be a colossal task, almost impossible task. That will not be beneficial for your survival. And we have evolved over so many thousands of years. So evolution has time has taught us something. Maybe this is beneficial, this is not beneficial, that is beneficial, that is not beneficial. And we have developed some instincts which support our survival. For instance, I have read a very interesting theory about this. Religion. So again, this is a very, like, I do not want to hurt anyone's feeling, anyone's sentiment. This is a sort of disclaimer. I do not want to hurt anyone's feelings or sentiment. But I just want to say that there's a theory of religion. Like, why is religion so popular among people? Like many people, even some scientists and many people, they, especially the older people or people who are like, who have had a hard life, they turn to religion for spiritual comfort, for comfort. Now, why do we turn to religion? Because why is religion so appealing to us? Because it is an hardwired instinct in us, and we cannot do anything about hardwired instinct. The thing is that when in the earlier days, in the very early days, the people were just hunter-gatherers. They used to kill animals and eat them raw, and they used to eat the fruits and everything. So I guess, so in that case, they started living in groups, right? This, because that was beneficial for them. They could not survive alone. So they started living in groups, and there was a leader in the group. So one leader and a small group, they hunted, they did this and they did that. So the thing is that as we evolved, as the early humans evolved, they learned to ask questions. So they were intelligent. But the thing is that if they go on asking questions and if they clashed with the leaders, then the leader would just kick them out of the team and they would be isolated, which would harm their chances of survival. So for their own good, like for their own benefit, they have to stay in the team. So they have to somehow follow the leader unquestioningly. Even if they do not agree with the leader, they have to follow him or her unconsciously, like unquestioningly. So the leader is like sort of God to him or her. So like this, there was a hardwired instinct in us to follow something, something unquestioningly, some omnipotent power, some omnipresence, and that shows itself in us in God. So it's somewhat hardwired in us. But yeah, in today's world, we have realized that this is not a very necessary skill for survival. Like being religious is not necessary for survival. So slowly these instincts are developing, and this is my personal speculation. I don't know. There is no theory about this, but it can be true nevertheless. So I think slowly these instincts are going away. These instincts are developing such that now today in today's world, you see the number of people who are religious in today's world is very less. Today we have become more scientific, because today we no more need to be religious to stay alive. Today we have, everyone has a right. Everyone has, at least I don't know what is happening practically, because considering India, a lot of people, they don't have like any basic, they don't have the basic things needed for survival. They are very poor, they don't have a say in any matter, and they are just like, we say it's a democratic country, everyone has equal rights, but it's a very poor implementation. That's true. But so now this is an interesting question, like how does evolution decide which is good for our survival and which is not good for our survival? Like for instance, there are some societal reasons to consider, but then does evolution consider them, or does evolution only consider our individual survival? That's a question. Then there is a question that like whether our reproduction is more important or our individual survival is more important, because basically there are this I saw in a video of Veritasium or something like that. I will not like to mention any names because I'm not 100% sure about that. Like our aging process, which is a natural process, we can sort of reverse it, or at least we can sort of stop it. So David Sinclair was the name, if I remember right. So he was a scientist who proposed this idea, and he also did some experiments on rats and some things. So basically there are two types of cells in our bodies. One is the cells which help our survival, our individual survival. They are the robust cells, like they increase our longevity. And the other cells, they are involved in reproduction. So these two cells are somewhat like, they do not complement each other. Like they are somewhat, if this cell is in a good condition, then the other cell will have to be compromised. Something like that, if I remember right. So that means, again, evolution, what does evolution want? That I survive, I individually survive, or my species survives, I reproduce and my species survives as along. So what is the main point of evolution? So one more thing, we have been trying to build artificial intelligence, these robots and these things. So see, it has not been possible so far, because we tried to, mainly for two reasons which I would like to discuss before ending this video. We try to, first of all, suppose we're writing a code for a robot, for a program. Suppose the robot will have a sensor. Suppose if the sensor detects this, then it will do this. Done. So our response to a stimulus is created. So there is only one response to a stimulus, and it is done. That means it is done. We can move on to the next stimulus. We can move on to the next thing. But the thing is that in real life, in biology, evolution doesn't work that way. For instance, we have like many different mechanisms, many different brain regions, many different mechanisms for doing a single task. So evolution tries out many different paths, and if one path is successful, evolution does not stop. That is the point David Eagleman says in this book. Evolution does not stop. Evolution goes on trying out new paths. Goes on trying out new paths, new combinations, maybe even better paths, maybe more. Like evolution will never stop innovating new ways of survival, new ways that will give you a better chance of survival. So yeah, that's it. Now evolution works that way, but so basically the bottom-up approach is more more favorable in this case, because a robot should not learn everything from scratch. That's impossible. A robot should learn, it should have some pre-knowledge, some prerequisite, like some pre-programmed instincts, and it should have the capacity to, the ability to remember the things and react to them in the future appropriately, and these things are required. But even that is not sufficient to to reproduce exact consciousness again, obviously. So this is a very important thing, and so this is actually very interesting thing, and this evolution and how. So this book actually gave me many new insights about evolution. So and I'm planning to do some further reading on evolution, evolutionary biology and evolutionary physics. So, and in this video I just wanted to share these things with you, just random talk and nothing else. And once more, thank you to all my watchers. And once more I would like to repeat, even if one people listens to my video seriously, that is enough reason, that is enough motivation for me to continue creating content for YouTube. I don't need 1,000 subscribers. I want 1,000 subscribers. Obviously I want. I will not say I'm so noble that I don't want 1,000 subscribers. Obviously everyone wants that, but it's not an absolute necessity for me. So yeah, that's it. And again, if my content appeals to your taste, and if you have not yet subscribed, I would ask you to subscribe only if my content appeals to your taste. And yeah, so it motivates me, nothing else. So that's it for this video. Thank you.